No parent ever expects a child will be diagnosed with a mental illness, and only in a parent's worst nightmare would that illness lead to suicide.
In Minnesota, suicide is the #3 killer of children ages 10 to 14, according to the State Department of Health. Tonight, we continue our in-depth look at a problem that is rarely talked about, a rise in suicide and mental illness among children and adolescents, and the shortage of help.
Fox 21's Nicolette Helling spoke with a family who shares their story in losing our children.
Fall is a painful time at the Tonder home. Every time the leaves change color, the Two Harbors couple is reminded of the worst fall of their lives 10 years ago when their son Aaron committed suicide. He was only 19 years old.
He was a good canoeing buddy. Dearly wish I could have known him longer.
The day Aaron died, says his parents, was just like the day he was born. Jody and Mike Tonder spent the first night of Aaron's life wondering if their son would live to see another day.
At birth, he had 7 major things wrong, any one of which could have killed him.
Aaron had serious brain damage at birth, but despite his doctor's predictions, Aaron made a miraculous turnaround.
The doctors said there's no medical reason why Aaron had as normal a life as he did.
Though Mike and Jody tried to have more children, they could not. So Aaron was their pride and joy. As artists, the couple brought their young son to art fairs around the country. And as he grew up, Aaron was passionate about many things. He loved to hunt and be outside. He was a committed dog sled racer.
He was a nice kid. People loved him.
Whether he was canoeing with his dad or creating art of his own, Aaron was a special kid. But Jody says their young son couldn't see all that he had accomplished.
Few people knew how sick he was because he could put on a great front.
Aaron started seeing a therapist for depression when he was 16. For a family with no history of mental illness, Mike and Jody had no idea how long of a road lay ahead.
Things progressed and kept getting worse and worse and worse over the next 3 years. Aaron at one point had to be put in the hospital for a 72-hour hold because Mike had to wrestle a gun away from him.
While in the hospital, Aaron was diagnosed with lack of impulse control. Finally, Mike and Jody thought they would get the guidance and help they needed. But to remain in the hospital, Aaron had to be a danger to himself or others, and at that time, doctors determined he wasn't. The type of help Aaron needed was not available. Once again, Mike and Jody were left to fight for Aaron on their own, and his illness only got worse.
The last 8 months of his life, he really talked about his suicide a lot.
It was something that he had thought about and had decided it was the way things were going to go.
In September of 1999, Aaron told his parents he had a goal, and Mike and Jody felt things were finally turning around, until he told them what his goal was. Aaron said he wanted to follow through on his suicide, to show other kids how senseless it was.
It was absolute hell. Even going on a walk down our road here, he laid down on the side of the road and just said, "Mom, I'm going to do it. I don't know when, but I'm going to do it."
Just think of the very worst day you've had and think about waking up every day and feeling that bad and not being able to change it.
Mike and Jody refused to give up.
We went from doctor to doctor to doctor and program to program and just he never got the help he needed. By that time, it was like trying to stop a runaway locomotive. He was totally out of control.
On a Saturday night in October of 1999, Jody and Mike were with friends hours away from home. At 12:20 on Sunday morning, the phone rang. It was Aaron, and he was calling to say goodbye.
He was very intent on his suicide.
They rushed home, but Aaron was nowhere to be found. Just like the night he was born, Mike and Jody had to wait.
It was the longest 3 nights to live through. And you just keep hoping, but we knew. We knew. We knew what it was like to lose him the day he was born.
Because of thick fog, it took 3 nights for search parties to locate Aaron's body near a gravel pit only miles from the family's home. He had overdosed on Advil and suffered carbon monoxide poisoning from breathing fumes from his car. Between the time Aaron made that call and when police located his body, Aaron's doctor had finally found 3 different treatment facilities that could have taken him. Mike and Jody were shocked that Aaron had to threaten suicide before he could get the type of help he needed. In their case, it was too late.
Parents shouldn't have to bury their children, and the grandparents certainly shouldn't have to watch.
For years after Aaron's suicide, Mike's artwork reflected his sadness. Every piece he created had a hole in it. But he and Jody found healing in their work, and now their work in the mental health community is bringing healing and hope to others.
We got to do something about it. There's just too many kids.
10 years after his death, Mike and Jody continue to miss Aaron every single day.
I had to keep busy, and I could think if I wanted to, or just lose myself in what I was doing.
It's not that it goes away, it just changes. So there's, things all around us that remind us of him.
But they say they feel grateful for every day they shared with him.
And we had him for 19 years longer than we ever should have. A friend of mine said, "Wouldn't Aaron want you to be happy?" And I said, yeah.
With photojournalist John Thane, I'm Nicolette Helling, Fox 21 News.
As we continue our series, Losing Our Children, tomorrow you'll meet a young woman living with depression and bipolar disorder who was able to get the help she needed. Hear her story of struggle and survival tomorrow on Fox 21 News at 9.
And if you or someone you know is experiencing a mental health crisis, or you just need someone to talk to about mental illness, please call the phone numbers for help. You can also find these numbers online at fox21online.com, and you can read more on our series, Losing Our Children, in tomorrow's Duluth News Tribune.